I'm Rob Perry. I'm the Transportation Director from Richland County. And you know, if you have hatred or anger towards the Department of Transportation, I worked there for 14 years before coming to the county, which I talk about them now too. But you're welcome to voice your issues with them as well. You know, the Richland Penny Program, that's something that's been given out. You've got a monthly report that we put out every month. But what I wanted to do first is talk a little bit about why there are transportation sales tax programs, tell you about our program, and then they'll let you throw whatever rotten food you've got left and ask any questions you might have. Can anybody tell me why counties are doing transportation programs in this state? Anybody? That's a good point. Anybody else want to say anything further about that?
I didn't get a question, I'm sorry.
Why are counties doing transportation sales tax programs in this state? All right, there's three numbers I want to give you. 1987, 4, and 3. 1987 was the last time the Department of Transportation had a gas tax increase. Can you buy a house for what you did in 1987? Can you buy a car for what you did in 1987? Do you think the Department of Transportation could pave a road for what they did in 1987? They can't. And I'm not here to sing the praise of the department. Again, I have to coordinate with them on my projects that are benefiting their roads. So I've got a lot of opinions about them most days, and sometimes they're not nice. But 1987 is the key word. And another thing is, back in the 50s, I believe it was, our legislature, as most of y'all know, our economy was built on agriculture, right, in this state. So our legislature, in their grand wisdom, decided that the state needed to maintain all the farm-to-market roads, not just the interstate, the U.S. routes, and the SC routes, but all the little state secondary roads that have a little S that are usually in a rural area. Some of them are city streets. What that did is that made, this is where number 4 comes in, that made the state of South Carolina have to maintain the 4th largest road network in the nation. This little state is responsible for maintaining the 4th largest road network. And they're the 3rd least funded in the nation. Thank God for Mississippi and whoever the other one is. But so when you think about it, it's really pretty doggone simple. You got the 4th largest network to maintain, and you're the 3rd least funded. You hadn't had your funds increase in 1987. As we all know, inflationary costs go up. And that's how we get to county transportation sales tax programs. I think it's always important to point that out. And what I'm going to roll through is, we have interns at work, and I always try to explain to them the history of transportation. This is the history of U.S. and the interstate system. Most of y'all know the interstate system came after World War II when we realized Europe had such better road networks. We thought if we ever have a World War III and it's on our soil, we're going to have some serious trouble getting our vehicles across the country to fight. And that was really one of Dwight D. Eisenhower's big pushes in the 1956 Highway Act. Interstate systems, 42,000 miles, 1,600 interchanges. In South Carolina, there are 41,000 miles of roads that the DOT maintains, and 60,000 of them are total roads in the state. But the state is supposed to maintain 41,000 miles. And then my stats might be a little bit different than Ishmael's, but roughly 550 miles of paved roads. I think he said 560 because I'm continuously paving some of his dirt roads for him, which makes his life better. And that draws down the dirt road inventory. So at the time I started, I think it was 236, but now we might be down to 220. Again, here's a comparison of local states. And nobody wants to pay more for gas. I don't want to either. But do you see the difference between us and the other southeastern states when it comes to gas tax? Each penny creates about $35 million a year in revenue for the state of South Carolina in your gas tax. And there's the federal gas tax, which is around 18 cents, and the state was around 18 cents. One of them is a penny higher than the other. I don't remember that anymore, but that just shows you we're lower than all the rest of them. Last year, Georgia increased their funding by $2 billion a year for roads, and their roads aren't near as bad as ours right now. Again, I'm not trying to sell you. I just want to put it in perspective.
Where did the money come for repairing the roads that were repaired right after the flood? I know we had people from out of state coming.
No,
where was that money?
Well, the way it works is you have to pay it up front, of the majority of it, and then FEMA will pay for some of the federal highways. So federal highways has a pot of emergency money for emergency repairs for declaration on the state roads, and ours too, depending on the situation. But you've got to, after the governor declares, that's a great question, state of emergency, they have to be all spent within 180 days. on the federal highway side, emergency. The FEMA's a little bit different. I think you have up to like 2 years maybe. You would know better than I would.
15 months.
But so that's a great question. But that's another thing is it's not 100% reimbursed. If you're lucky and you did all your paperwork right, and you'll probably learn about this next week, you only get reimbursed 90%. So that's why you've seen the General Assembly saying of this $1.2 billion surplus they think they have, they're pushing some to the DOT to help pay for that 10% match, and they're pushing some to the counties because counties aren't used to this kind of event to have to cover 100% and then hope 2 years later they get 90% back. That's a problem. This is the DOT budget, $1.6 billion, which is a huge number. It says 1628 million, but it's 1.6 billion, how it's broken up. I'm almost through here. These are the other counties that have sales tax programs or transportation programs. And York County is the granddaddy of them all. 1997 was their first one. They were an 8-year program. And those are some statistics. They've gone through, they're on their third 8-cent or a penny iteration for 8 years. I'm going to go fast because I want to tell you about our program. But that just kind of tells you the scope of 211 million to 161 million. Charleston County is the only one that's a multi-decade program like Richland County. It's 25 years, $1.3 billion. And as you all know, the coast gets a lot of visitors from outside of the area, so that's why they can raise so much money. There's only a half cent. Half cent is raising that much money over 25 years. They're about to put another half cent on their referendum in the fall and they expect $2 billion in collections from projects. But if y'all have ever been down to Charleston, they've got some transportation issues. Dorchester County, that's another one. Theirs is an 8-year program roughly, and it's 125 million. But only have 22 projects. A lot of these ones that are 8 years, they just pick a handful of projects, and that's what I want to get to before I get to the Richland County. Beaufort, 10 projects, 152 million. Florence, they're on their second iteration. And again, the first one was only 7 projects. And the second group had more. I put numerous because it was kind of a weird mixed bag category. And it wasn't just roadway projects. They had some strange ones, kind of like Lexington County tried and failed with. Horry County, they pull in about $500 million in 7 years. And theirs is going back on in the fall. And the interesting thing about Horry is I think like 65, 70% of their funds come from those people that visit Horry County and don't live there. And ours is maybe a 30% is ours are from out of county is what the study showed. Berkeley, 7 years, 133 million. Almost finished. And then there's us. We're at $1.07 billion over 22 years. And I'm going to jump to the other presentation that shows about ours. All right, so here's our program. It was on the ballot in November 2012. It was on in 2010 as well. In 2010, it was $1.3 billion over 25 years. It failed, and I was back when I was at the DOT, my former life, and went back to the drawing board and said, okay, this 25 years at $1.3 billion is too much. We're going to bring it down a little bit to $1.07 billion for 22. The big thing that most people don't know is how the project list was created. The county put in a study. Parsons Braycroft was the consultant that did the study. And the projects were selected by a 39-member citizens group, which is great. But sometimes when I talk to the Department of Transportation, they say, well, why did you pick that project? We would have done this one over here. But just because they would have picked it doesn't make it the right project. They have different missions and goals. But we're broken up into 4 big categories. $300 million goes to CMRTA, the comment, to not only run the buses on their existing services, but to increase them, the services. $656 million go to major transportation projects, big road widenings, intersection improvements. $80.8 million go to bike ped greenways. And that's, again, bicycles, bikeways, pedestrian or sidewalks, and the greenways are things like what you'd see at Casey Riverwalk. And there are hundreds of projects between sidewalks and bikeways. These are the milestones, the big ones. It was on the ballot in November 2012. April 2013, council selected members to be in a citizens group, a transportation advisory committee that meet once a month, 15-member group. The collections didn't start being collected until May of 2013. And then we didn't actually get the first collection until October of 2014, probably 2013. So, and I started in August. As most of you may recall, how many of y'all were in Richland County when it was on the referendum? Yeah, and did y'all wait in lines for like 6 hours like I did to vote? I know I emailed my senator not happy about it. So, but there were two questions that night on the referendum. They were both very important. One was, will you allow the county to collect 1 cent on the dollar for up to 22 years, or when 1.07 billion is collected, whichever happens first? And the second one was just as important. It was, will you allow the county to bond up to $450 million to get things done quicker? Because otherwise, you'd be waiting 22 years to see that intersection by your house improved, and I don't think anybody wants to wait that long. In Charleston, again, they're the other multi-decade program. They had the two questions, and their second one was, will you bond as well to get things going? So thanks to both of them passing with a yes, we're looking at about a 10-year program to get everything done, and then the other 12 years we'll be paying back debt service from bonding.
Question.
Yes, sir.
What type of bond was that?
I wish I could answer that. You'd have to talk to our finance folks. I just know when we get the bonds and what the payouts are, so I can balance my checkbook, for lack of a better term, and what the rates are. But the interest rates have been really good. I think on our first $50 million, it was a bond anticipation note. The interest rate was like less than 1%. It was like 0.3 or something. Because we have, I think, a 4-star rating. It's those of your finance folks are going to tell me all the things I just said wrong. But it's cheaper to bond right now than the inflationary cost for construction, because construction costs typically inflate around 2 to 3% a year.
Who would I talk to get information on that?
Put you in touch with Ms. Olive Daniels.
Yeah, our CFO, our finance director, even though if I call him the same.
In reference to the referendum, I think what really enabled that to really pass over greatly was that of the meetings that they had in the different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Because I attended like three separate areas, and it was really explained to the people in the community what it was really all about. It was like pretty much what you said, slide, it was really broken down.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because there are things that, since I didn't come on till after the passage of the penny, I was at the DOT, I know somehow they got it passed and there was an educational campaign, but there are some questions I can't answer if it was before I started. Other big milestone of the 700, if you looked at that pie chart, you added 656 million and the 80.8 million in Bike Ped Greenway, there's 736 million in projects, and hundreds of projects. We've got 276 million in road widenings, 14 widenings, 198 million in special projects, 42.3 million in intersection improvements. I could wear you out with numbers all day long, but the big thing that you need to take away is of the 736 million in projects, 491 million are on DOT maintained roads. We're the only county in the state of South Carolina that can say we're going to improve the DOT roads at the tune of around $500 million. But if you're going to do that, you got to have an agreement to say what you're going to design it to. And at the end of the day, when the project's done, it's their road again, because there aren't maintenance funds in a capital transportation program. So when we widen Bluff Road, Atlas Road, North Main Street, Clemson Road, when construction's finished, this is theirs again. And I know a lot of citizens don't like that because they aren't happy with the amount of maintenance the Department of Transportation does, or lack thereof. But that's the facts of the matter. So we've got an agreement that says how we're going to develop the plans, how we're going to turn it back over to them, how we're going to acquire the property. And then we established a penny office. What we did is, when I started with the program, I had 4 pieces of paper that had the hundreds of projects on the list. Then I had a ranking criteria that County Council passed back in April of 2013. That's all I had. And I said, go. So we had to rank the projects to figure which ones to do first. And we ranked them by category, because there's no reason to rank a widening project versus a sidewalk project. They're completely different kinds of projects. And then the next thing, program development team, there are 3 different ways you can deliver these capital projects. You can staff up with new county staff, and so you could hire 100 or so people. You can give the money to the Department of Transportation and hope that they get that project done on the same schedule as they get their projects out, which in a lot of cases aren't good. And they aren't going to treat your project as nice as they treat theirs. Or you can outsource. You hire a program management team to come in, and that way when the work's done, they go away and you didn't grow government. And so Richland County Council elected to go with the program management team, which is most of those counties that I showed in that other PowerPoint have done. This is the breakdown of the projects by major category. It's very diverse. These are the things that the program development team does. It's 13 total firms, 7 of them are small local businesses in Richland County. So they manage it, they handle the utility coordination, they purchase the right-of-way, they inspect the roads and construction, they put together bid documents when we say, hey, contractors, submit bids. These are all the things they do. One thing that we did break out, if any of you live on dirt roads or have you ever lived on a dirt road? Well, we've got $45 million for dirt road paving, and that sounds like a lot of money, but at 236 miles, we'll be lucky if we get 60 or 70 miles paved. But if you look at Lexington County, that has around 700 miles, 650 miles dirt roads, we're doing pretty good. Now, I wouldn't say that to you if you lived on a dirt road and weren't happy, but it's the facts of the county. Horry County, they've got around 500 miles of dirt roads, so that they're putting around $60 million in each one of their 8-year iterations to pave dirt roads. But so what we did is the dirt roads, that sounds real easy, but it's a lot harder than it sounds. So we have our own specific team that's designing those projects, and the reason being is we have to do a consent denial process. Since we don't have enough money to pave all the dirt roads, and most people, I heard somebody say lived in Blythewood, there are a lot of people in horse country that don't want their dirt road paved. They want to keep it dirt, and I respect that. And I don't want to waste county, your taxpayer money to pave a dirt road or people don't want it paved. So what we do is we send out letters to everybody that lives on a dirt or has property on a dirt road and say, would you like it paved? And if 25% or greater say no, we drop it off the list, move to the next one. But then we still have to get some right of way that Ishmael was talking about, because some of these people own the right of way at the property all the way up to the center line of the dirt road, but Ishmael's group has been maintaining for years through a prescriptive easement. So you got to go back and clean up that's going to be the county's right of way. Otherwise, later when Ishmael has to go and maintain it, he's got somebody yelling at him that he doesn't know he can't touch that piece of road that we spent your taxpayer money putting asphalt on. That's a problem.
Is there certain materials that you use, or you have to use in doing the roads?
We do. There are a couple ways you can do it. Most people think, and I'll send an email about a dirt road in the back while Ishmael was giving his presentation. Most people think you just go to a dirt road, throw asphalt on it, you're done. That couldn't be farther from the truth.
Sometimes I think they do.
Well, you go to some I've seen built in Lexington County, you probably think that. But what we do is you widen the road to two-way traffic, because we weren't going to build roads that couldn't sustain two-way traffic. That's a liability. It's not fair to you all that want to use it. You build the ditches, because if you can't get the water off the road, it's going to crumble right away. And those are the ones we're talking about that I've seen in some Lexington County projects that they're trying to correct. And then you have to do some stabilization of the dirt that's there. So you can either mix cement into it and essentially wet it and compact it and then put asphalt down on it, which is what we do in most cases. Or you do like Horry County does and just pretty much put rock on top of it and compact it, put asphalt on it. So we have some options, but that's how we build them. And by converting a dirt road to a paved road, it reduces his maintenance costs and your taxpayer costs to maintain the roads. So that's how we do it. Some other things that you've got to do before you start a $1 billion transportation program. Most counties don't relocate hundreds of millions of dollars utilities. They don't buy right-of-way property for major projects. That's not something they do. So we had to get these manuals to specify how we do things. Otherwise, you're going to look back and wonder why you did what you did. Any of you ever dealt with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers or DHEC? Well, if you build a road, or say you're building a new hotel or whatever, if you impact wetlands or streams, you essentially have to mitigate that somewhere else. You have to protect it. It's almost kind of the same as if you think about the power plants with the cap-in trades that they do now, wetlands and streams are the same way. So for Shopper Extension, I'm filling in 2 acres of wetlands here, I need to buy credits to safe in a couple acres over here. Sometimes it's more than what I damaged. And it's a good thing, but it creates a lot of problems to get things built. That's why a lot of people complain about how long it takes for regulatory agencies to get permits. So we got council to agree to purchase around 1,800 acres of land right beside the Congaree Congaree National Park down off Bluff Road. And we've been working for 2.5 years to convert this to a mitigation bank. So every time we build a road and we hit a wetland or stream, we can pull from those credits. That contract started February of 2014, and we just got it signed last week from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So over 2 years it took. And most of you think, well, that's just, why would you waste your time doing that? But that's one of the reasons why I'm going to bring up Florence County, and I had them on slide. They had 7 or 10 major widening jobs. It was an 8-year collection. They had all the projects designed, all the property purchased, couldn't take any construction because they couldn't get a permit for the mitigation for the impacts. And so then they had to go try and develop a bank after the fact. So all the citizens like you paid a sales tax for 8 years to get that road wide in front of your house, and you had nothing to show for it. So we try to be proactive and get that going on the front end. And on top of that, our agreement allows us, we believe there are going to be excess mitigation credits for wetland stream. And so we can sell those credits, and then we put that money back into our program. And what's important is that what I should be thanking you for, and the Department of Transportation should be thanking you for, is the Department of Transportation has already lined up and want to buy credits from our bank because there aren't any mitigation banks around. So I-20 widening, some of these big interstate widenings that the DOT is about to try and do, they're already saying, can we purchase these excess credits from you, Richland County, otherwise we can't build the project. So there's even a greater effect than just the program. We're helping the state in a second way.
So what is your definition of mitigation? What's your kind of definition of mitigation?
It's essentially a huge piece of property that's got wetlands and streams, and you've got to preserve some of it, and then you have to restore some other parts. So that's right. And so the way the government looks at it is you can't just do preservation, you also have to do restoration. So let's say that 1,800 acres had a bunch of area that would have been free flowing streams, but somebody dammed it up for farming or hunting or whatever. Well, if you take those dams and dikes out, then you restored it. And the DOT did it 20 years ago with the island, and that's how they pulled Sandy Island. That's how they pulled their credits for about 10 years. They bought a whole island along the coast and did this. And then the last thing, once we ranked our projects, we laid out a 5-year plan on our website, so County Transportation Improvement Program. So you can go out there and see, if you want to know when Atlas Road is going to go to construction, we'll tell you what calendar year we start design, what calendar year we start purchasing property, and what calendar year we are approved to go to construction. All right, these are some accomplishments today. This mill said 8 miles, I think, of dirt roads. I'm tracking 9, but I think I must have rounded up, he rounded down, but at least we're close.
That was very close.
13 miles of resurfacing. Tuesday night, we got council to approve a contract for 20 miles of countywide resurfacing. One thing we're starting to see, and this is a thing about your legislature and their grand wisdom, by them not wanting to do a long-term spending plan for the DOT, but they just keep pushing money to the county transportation committees and say, go do good things. That's what they did last year. It's like $215 million. I think our CTC got over 10 extra million, and that's great. But the problem with that is if you're a big paving contractor, and there are only a handful of middle ones, there are about 4 big ones, are you going to staff up and start increasing your paving crews and buying more paving machines if you're not sure if there's going to be continuous future work coming? You're not. So what happens when they flood the market at one time, but they don't show they're going to do it consistently, it drives up the price. So we're seeing prices go up on asphalt, and not just us, Horry County. They were getting asphalt for $65 a ton last year. They get a yearly asphalt contract. It's up to $95 right now. Go ahead.
What's the interstate 1 mile price now? Just 1 mile. It used to be $1 million per mile.
Yeah, like a lane mile. It's probably pretty close. I had a 15 miler I did with concrete for $36 million, but that was both directions, high strength, and we closed it. And then I did another 15 miler for about $50 million, but that's about 4 years ago. So you can just divide. So it's still about $1 million a mile. It's a good question. These are the projects in construction. We always have resurfacing and dirt roads construction at any given time because we've got $40 million in resurfacing, $45 million for dirt roads. Green Street Phase 1, if you ever go to Colonial Life Arena, it's a mess right now down there with all the student housing, but one of the Richland Penny projects is to make Green Street more pedestrian friendly, because that's where we all go to events and where all the students walk, and there's the convention center right next door. Just gonna have a new bike path, pedestrian accommodations, and a huge 500-foot by 500-foot elevated square right there in the middle There's one in Raleigh. It's similar to it. So that'll be finished this summer. Lincoln Tunnel Greenway. That's a greenway that's going to connect Finley Park to Elmwood, and that's under construction. Will be finished this summer. How many of you ever take your kids or grandkids to the zoo? How much do you like having to push your kids or grandkids in a stroller across an at-grade railroad crossing? Does that seem safe? And y'all know the zoo gets over 1 million visitors a year. It's the #1 place to visit as far as not a town. So I had somebody say, no, Charleston's where everybody visits. I'm talking about like a destination. Exact attraction, thank you. But it's over 1 million a year. And so, one of the projects, our special projects, was to help improve access to Riverbank Zoo. We worked for years with the railroad to try and put a bridge under the railroad to make it in and out. But the railroad, it was going to be $25 million. We had $4 million for a project. So what it evolved to was building a pedestrian bridge from the new parking lots. So probably this fall, you won't ever have to walk across those railroads again with your kids. It's going to have elevators on both sides, and it's going to make it a lot safer. And we got 6 design build intersections in construction. We have a groundbreaking next Friday for one. If y'all live in the Northeast, anybody? Summit Parkway, which is a county intersection, is the first one that's turning dirt. We're also doing Clemson, North Springs, Rain right there by Sandhills, and Clemson and Risden, or pardon me, North Springs and Risden. So those are the 3 in the Northeast, and then that we're putting a roundabout outside of Ascot Plantation, which is District 1. And then we've provided $34 million to the Comet. Anytime.
What exactly are you doing, and are they doing in that Rain Road area or in that right off North Spring? So
You're
building roundabouts, or briefly, like what are they?
The Clemson North Springs Rain, we're putting a bunch of turn lanes in. Oh yeah, and that'll be built. We're buying the property right now, and I don't see how these people live along that road, just the traffic.
I used to live off Rain Road, yeah, just 2-3 years ago.
Well, I'm glad I'm sure you're happy to be somewhere quiet. But it is hard. That's something from the county levels. The state's very good at going to somebody and saying, "Here's your." And we use the Uniform Act, the Federal Uniform Act, to acquire property. So we get an appraisal, we make you a fair market offer. The DOT has to prove that we had the right offer amount, that we didn't inflate it or try and make it low. But it's tough, looking at somebody that's on that corner and saying, "I'm gonna need an extra 30 feet," and your front yard's already on a major highway. It's not a fun job. And these are all the public meetings we've had. We've had 16 public meetings. We have a couple big public meetings for the major widening jobs, intersection improvements. And if any of you are members of a civic organization or a church and you ever wants to come speak, or you just want to vent, anything you want, you can go to our website at richlandpenny.com and sign up, and we'll come speak. You just tell us what you want us to focus on. If you want us to talk about greenways, the program in general, widenings. You want to talk about your house in the flood, I'll come. There's not much I can do, but I'll come. But that's what we're there for, because we want you to know how to find out the project information and the project schedules. And we have internships for the program development teams. If you have any college or high school age kids that are interested in transportation, this is their opportunity to work with designers, see something in construction. I wish I had a job like that in the summer. It would have helped. It might have driven me to be a dentist. I don't know. Sometimes you want it. This is our website, www.richlandpenny.com, and you can find, we have mapping features where you can toggle on any project category, all of them, and have different colors for widenings, intersections, sidewalks, bikeways, and you can zoom in and out. It's a Google map, and it'll tell you kind of in construction, in design. We also have under projects that CTIP that gives you the 5-year authorizations by phase, design, right-of-way construction. And we don't want to push any schedules anymore out than 5 years, because that really just be us just guessing. And the state only goes out 5. We advertise our public meetings. We have links to the comment website. Anything, our expenditures, the monthly reports you see that has expenditures on page 5 at about $83.1 million in expenditures to date, all that's there. This is the mapping feature. So again, you go to it, if you want to turn on our widenings, that might be greenways if it's green, but that shows you, and you can zoom in and out. These are our finances to date. It should match what you've got in your handout, but we've only spent $16.3 million in construction, but we've awarded 35. So what that means is I've got contracts I've got to pay for $35 million. That's how I budget my day. It's not about what I paid in invoices. It's what I'm obligated to pay to deliver it. Otherwise, we're going to have some problems. So we've had 83 million expenditures and 141 million sales tax to date, and 38 million dispersed to the economy. I think the slide before had it 34. I'll have to catch that one and clean it up. These are all the projects in design right now, and I can get you schedules for them. I've got a cool simulation for Clemson Sparkleberry Lane if y'all want to see a nerdy intersection improvement simulation.
Yeah, that's
Oh, is
interesting.
that the part of Clemson Road you're gonna widen between Two Notch and?
That little neck down area that you're right. We hope to go to construction in 2017. We just got authorized by the state to start buying property, but luckily, I guess when the state widened it years ago, they'd already bought most of the right of way needed. There's 120 feet of right of way. Again, so 60 feet from center line both ways. The state already has that property, but there's certain areas, as you've probably seen, where the slopes are real steep.
Yeah.
And so our slopes, if we go up, our dirt's going to kick out at a 2-to-1. And that's where we're also going to need some mitigation bank credits for hitting a stream or something. We've got a bunch of neighborhood improvement projects, 63 million worth. And we're going to deliver some to construction that are in design right now this year, like Broad River Neighborhood. Gills Creek Greenway, some of you saw, we had a public meeting a few months ago. There were 325 people there, and it was so close to the flood we delayed it, but it takes years to get projects to construction, so you don't want to delay them forever. So we went in and had that meeting. And Three Rivers Greenway, that's one where I think it's a 3-mile greenway that's going to connect you. Eventually, you'll be able to get from the State Museum to the zoo without driving. But you could walk or ride a bike. Phase 1 is going to be the 3 miles just on the other side of the river, and Phase 2 will be the bridge connecting. But again, can you imagine a couple of years from now looking back and saying I was able to take my grandkid to the zoo, and I never had to drive a car. I took him to the museum, Red Adventure that morning, and then we took a nice little stroll. These are all the ones that are scheduled for design this year per the CTIP. And this is a big spread. And these are completed projects. It backs into the mileage I showed you, I think 9 miles on dirt roads and 13 miles resurfacing to date. Can anybody tell me how long it takes to get the federal highway standard to get a widening job to construction from the time that's approved in some type of document?
2.5, 3 years.
6 to 8 years is the federal highway's average to get a widening job construction. We're going to get Clemson Road in 2017, so that's 3 years. So I'm beating them.
So that speed lane, that new traffic light on Alpine and Percival, it was easy because Fort Jackson donated the land.
That was nice. Because it's hard to get sometimes property from the federal government. Sometimes it's go all the way up.
How much does the federal government pay for like S77? How much will they pay for resurfacing? How much will they pay?
That's a great question. And my DOT hat, I can answer that. It typically is an 80-20 match for anything federal money for like a federally maintained road, like a US route or SC route.
They pay
80, but on interstate they pay, it's a 90-10 match. So the state has to pay 100%, they'll get a 90% reimbursement. And that's just because, again, the feds, they consider the interstate theirs, it just has to be on state property.
I have a question in reference to 77.
Mm-hmm.
I moved back down here in 2004 when I retired from the Army. And since then until now, the section of I-77 between I-20 and, say, Carlos Ferry, maybe a little bit beyond that,
Mhm.
was resurfaced 3 times in like 4 years. Why is it? I mean, and it needs to be done again, because I was just using crappy.
I can tell you the first time, if y'all noticed on certain asphalt roads, the first time they did it was I-26 near Charleston, but they did it that section too, and 20 right near that interchange. Have you ever noticed when it rains at certain asphalts, the water will kind of drain through the road and out? It's called open graded friction course. And it's great for safety because it gets the water off the road, so it reduces your hydroplaning. But I can tell you the first few years that they were putting it out, they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't do a good job of it, and it started raveling up. So when the state first started putting on interstates, they were having to come back and put a bunch in. I can't say why they've had to do it 2 more times though.
It's horrible. I mean, one section, like 3 levels, and one level is completely down.
And that's what,
I mean, I don't even drive that at night anymore.
yeah, and that's what when I ride that quite a bit too. I think you'll see where it's like just a big circle is gone for like a top layer about an inch, and that's that open graded fiction course just coming up, and it's.
Now they're just paving over it again
Mhm.
in sections. Again, really dangerous on those.
Oh, I can only, yeah, they've got the specs about when they do asphalt paving, they try to only go an inch or inch and a half between lanes, but it's still, they never quite get there.
That wide and that tall.
Oh, yeah, I don't know anybody on a motorcycle riding interstate personally, that's just me. I'm scared in a car some days. But this is a dirt road we paved for Ishmael. I'm just gonna keep picking on my friend over there.
We appreciate every inch of it.
It's a team sport, it really is. It's in this full depth reclamation on Muskrat. I'm not sure if that was a dirt road or if that was, usually reclamation means that it was an asphalt road. It was in such bad shape, you essentially had to tear it up, mix some concrete into it, and then recompact it. You throw asphalt on top. And this is Innovista. This is Green Street right beside the Darlinmore School of Business on the right. We had a big argument with the state about this one because it's a city road, a county project, but then there was a DOT commissioner that didn't like that we were reducing 4 lanes down to 2, even though the traffic down there is pretty minimal. It's one of those things where sometimes government entities don't get along. But we won. This is the Lincoln Tunnel Greenway that I talked about. And so you'll be able to go from Finley Park to Elmwood. It connects to the other Greenway that's kind of like the railroad tunnel that gets you to the Vista. So that's that in construction. This is just a look ahead of projects that are going to be complete in the next 6 months. So those of you in the Northeast Summit Parkway is one of them. And there are a lot of other, there's various sidewalks that will be finished. These are projects going to construction. We have $110 million in construction going this year. That will be new construction. So again, year 3, not too bad when you got a $736 million list of projects. It takes a few years, but compared to federal highways, we're whooping them. If you went to our C-tip, this kind of is broken down by each project. So you can see which year. Clemson Road's 2015 for design, construction 2017. Hardscrabble Road, that's forward. Thanks to you, the citizens, you voted yes. And if it weren't for the yes vote, Hardscrabble Road wouldn't be widened. The Department of Transportation has been managing that project, and the county has put $29.8 million towards that project to make it whole, fiscally whole. This widen it from Fair Road all the way to Kelly Mill. And we've been ready to cut that check for about 2 years now. They've not been on schedule. But it's supposed to be bid July of this year is when we're taking bids. We have a transportation to citizens group, and the big thing that the counselors that tell me the reason why they established them before I was with the county was to make sure that there wasn't money moved to projects that weren't on the list, that the funds were not diverted to other departments, and those were the 2 big things they wanted them to do. And so that's every year. That's why we typically have a state of the penny where the citizens group says, hey, they're doing it the right way. And that's why we put so much on the website. We have the original project list on the website, and we have a 5-year plan, so you could see it. But you're right, and we do a financial audit every year. We're about to go through a specific audit for the program because the audit we just did was all the county funds. But in an effort to assuage some concerns out there, we're doing one specific to the program, just because the perception is one thing, the reality is something else. Well, the good thing is we only have really 2 discretionary pots. When I say discretionary, they're not specific for individual roads. At the time of the referendum, there was the $40 million in county road resurfacing and $45 million in county road dirt road paving, because we realized that there might be a bunch of people that move on this dirt road. There wasn't anybody in 2006, but doggone, there might be 20 of them in 2015. So, and the same thing with resurfacing county roads. You might have a lot of traffic from construction that tear up a county road all of a sudden. So we've got that latitude on the county roads. Now on the listed projects like widenings, we don't have that latitude. But if we got all the projects built and we have a savings, that's when you'd have to look and say, all right, we've got a savings. But do we do a project that was on our medium list that was unfunded? Do we go to the state and say, let's partner? But I got to get all the ones built first before I can start looking at any new friends. Yeah. I was going to show you one quick video, and this is the website at richlandpenny.com. But if any of y'all want a nice geeky video before you go home, I'm going to make you watch it. Any of y'all ever go to Clemson Sparkleberry Road? Yep. And what a nightmare that is. Yep. All right, well, I'm going to show you
real active behind.
All right. We had a public meeting December 3rd of last year, and I'm just going to walk over here and show you. This will be more like, this is I-20, this is Clemson Road, this is Sparkleberry, where it comes in. Well, the big thing is you've got about 800 cars right now, or probably 900 going this way, and 800 going that way. So there's really not one way that's controlling for design for. You got to deal with both directional movements. The DOT design would require a double left, 2 left turn lanes going this way. But you don't have enough storage to store all the long cars because the interstate's right here. Your storage gets you back here. So if we build you a intersection improvement here, the old DOT way down here, then about 5 years from now, the intersection's failing again, and you're like, great, you know, you fix it for a couple years, you spent $7 million, and it stinks again. So what you could do, what the state would do, is they would push this intersection farther away, so that way they'd have more room to turn left, and then you would cul-de-sac this. But you see this big building right here? That's like mint julep and all that stuff. So then the county would be spending $2 or $3 million to buy that building, probably buy that building because we're so close, maybe buy that one. One of the things, so we had a public meeting, we showed this because that's the traditional fix, and then we showed this. Any of you ever go to Lexington Medical?
Yeah.
Where you get off the interchange, you're on the wrong side of the road for just a little bit and then you get back? Well, like I said, the big problem is there's so many cars going this way. So what you could do here, and this is what we're proposing, and we're going to do some more public outreach, but we've already had a public meeting, almost everybody wants this, is if this plan holds, when we get this construction, if you're on Clemson Road heading towards the interstate, you get to right here, you can be on that side of the road. And then when you get back here, we're going to swap you back over. It would force us to have to purchase Frank's Car Wash, and we'd relocate it. But all the other businesses, as y'all know, there's a lot of businesses on there. Those other alternatives we looked at, we would have to limit access to those businesses. You have to put concrete medians, it'd be right in, right out. This has the least impact to properties, and it's actually the cheapest right of acquisition. So we will pay him to relocate. He might decide he wants to build back here, whatever. But this is the fix, but it's outside the box. You know, those of us in the U.S. aren't used to riding on the wrong side of the road.
I had to do that.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you a simulation of what it looks like with the cars moving, and then I'll leave you alone. So again, you see how this is modeled for the 20-year. When the DOT designs a road, they're supposed to design an intersection or widening job to handle traffic 20 years from the design year. And as you can see, if you're trying to go this way, you got this curve, you're free flow, there's no light holding you back. If you're coming this way, you got the option, since you're now swapped over here, if you want to go up Sparkleberry, you're on that side of the road. You don't have to stop. Just keep on rolling. And you keep on, and there's going to be a signal here and a signal here. And then the same thing down here. You know, you're stacked, but you curve. You don't see any cars backing up. And this is be out in the year 2037.
Can you point out where which road, that road right there, that's Clemson?
This is Clemson,
Right.
this is I-20, and that was Sparkleberry up there. It was. Yeah, they got tired of running. But yep, so this is I-20 down here. This is where Sparkleberry comes down. The Sumos is right there, and Mint Julep, that was where the bank is right there.
Okay, yeah.
But you see, because since so many cars are going up here, by flopping the other side of the road, you're allowing free flow essentially up to that area.
But that's a road there already right now, right next to Mint Julep. You can go through the back.
It is. We would just have to upgrade it to handle
more traffic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But again, these are the things that, thanks to the penny, we're gonna if we can get everybody still on board. I don't know how Frank's gonna feel about moving his car wash, but we're gonna pay to move it. Things are gonna be so much better for traffic. So I just want to thank all of you, even if you weren't supportive of the penny. It's okay. I'm not supportive of some things some days myself, but just give us some time. By the end of this year, if we have 110 million in construction, I think you'll see we're doing it the right way.